This video was suggested to me by viewer Nashkita77, responding to another video I did a long time ago called Can an Atheist Be a Conservative? I want to thank them for sending this in, and to remind everyone that if you see something you want me to take on, just let me know. Make sure it's not absurdly long though. I still have some really long videos that I'm trying to get to once things calm down, but it's really hard to do a video response to something that's already an hour long. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's see what happens when an atheist tries to be a Republican.
Author and commentator C.J. Werleman just came out with a book called Atheists Can't Be Republicans, and his thesis is essentially, well, atheists can't be Republicans.
So, we start off with claims made by C.J. Werleman. Yeah, that's really not the best place to get your information, considering he's a proven plagiarist. I have read some of his books, including the 2014 one referenced here, and frankly, I'm not at all impressed. But I suppose that's neither here nor there, and since most of this is really Hammond's own views, I can kind of forgive picking a really bad starting point for this discussion.
And the basic gist of his argument goes like this. When it comes to religion, we know Republicans and atheists don't mix. They're overwhelmingly religious, and they tend to oppose church-state separation. Atheists really want nothing to do with that. Republicans want nothing to do with us. We know that. That's not a surprise. But oftentimes, a lot of atheists who are Republicans will say, well, I'm a Republican for all the other reasons. And Werleman's point is, well, even those other reasons are really bad ones.
But this really ignores a simple fact in American political reality, that there are really only two choices to be, either a Republican or a Democrat. Yeah, there are third parties, but they are utterly pointless, with no shot of hell in ever getting elected to high public office. So being a member of these is like being a member of the local sewing circle. It just has no conceivable impact on things at the national level. So you really have a binary choice, either joining the Republicans or joining the Democrats, and neither of them are particularly good choices. As with most political choices, you are left with choosing the lesser of the two evils. And in this case, I think the lesser of the two evils are the Republicans. In a minute. Now, I am a lifelong Republican. I've been a registered Republican since I first voted for Reagan. Sure, I hate where the Republican Party has gone, but unless all you care about is atheism, and I don't, then that really doesn't make much of a difference. I'm a Republican because I'm a conservative, and that just doesn't fit in with the Democrat way of doing things. Yes, I'm also an atheist, and I oppose religious justifications that they use. But there are reasons that none of that actually matters, and I'll get into that in a minute.
And he goes through them. For example, when it comes to things like gay marriage and abortion, those social issues. Well, if you're a vocal atheist, you probably overwhelmingly support marriage equality, civil unions, you support a woman's right to choose, and most of the Republican Party does not. And they don't just, say that they oppose it. They work on legislation to make it stop. They want to make it really difficult for women to even get safe abortions. So when it comes to the social issues, there's just no good reason for most vocal atheists, any vocal atheist really, to be a Republican.
But that's the thing. The majority of Republicans don't actually oppose those things. See, both parties only try to appeal to the extremists. On the right, that's the religious fundamentalists. On the left, it's the crazy progressive morons. They do this because they know that all the moderates of either lean are going to have to hold their noses and make a choice, and therefore appealing to these people is a pointless waste of effort. It's getting the crazies on your side, the people who are going to be staunch supporters, who are going to send you their Social Security checks because they really want the nonsense that you're selling. Those are the people they have to attract, and that's why the Republicans spent so much time spouting religious rhetoric, and the Democrats spend so much time telling their followers how much free stuff they're going to get if they just vote for them. It's a game because they know that the people in the middle, the people who are not swayed by all the hyper-partisan crazy talk, they're still going to have to vote for them in the end. And they're right. They just have no other credible choices. If you're not drinking from the far left or the far right Kool-Aid, you still have to vote for either the Republicans or the Democrats, or just flush your vote down the proverbial toilet.
What about economics, though? Because that's what a lot of people say. I may be liberal on a lot of things, but I'm fiscally conservative or something like that. Well, Worldman says even when it comes to economics, there's no good reason to be a Republican. Because when you look at the things that they do as a party, they help the rich get richer with unnecessary tax breaks. They oppose things like minimum wage hikes. We know trickle-down economics doesn't work. When you look at it from a purely numbers-based sort of thinking, it doesn't make sense to support their vision of the economy. So for that reason, atheists shouldn't be Republicans, because we're all about evidence and critical thinking, and it turns out the economics is bad no matter how you look at it.
Well, the fact is, I'm not liberal on anything, because liberal means a lot more than just being in favor of abortion rights and gay marriage. There is a ton of people in the Republican Party who are in favor of those things. But it isn't just because they favor them. It's why they favor them, and I wholly disagree with a lot of the liberal ideas. Not because of the ends, but because of the means. There's probably a better way to put that, but I hope that gets the message across. I care not only what you want, but why you want it. In fact, why you want it is probably even more important to me than what you want. The end never, ever, ever justifies the means. So, let's look at economics. The Republicans do not help the rich get richer. They help the people who get out there and work their asses off get wealthy. And that's a good thing. What is not a good thing is giving people who have been irresponsible in their lives things for free because you feel bad for them. The ones who ought to feel bad are the people who have made poor life decisions. Actions, whether you like it or not, have consequences. Bad actions, like not taking advantage of an education when you have a chance, like joining gangs, doing drugs, getting pregnant out of wedlock, committing crimes and going to prison. These are all bad actions, and they warrant bad consequences. I really don't feel sorry for people who screwed up their own lives and now have their hands out. I think a perfect example of this was the Occupy movement, a bunch of entitled assholes who signed up for school loans, then wanted all of them forgiven because they didn't want to take the responsibility for them. Well, guys, you signed the paperwork. Welcome to personal responsibility. If you don't want to pay for it, don't sign up. It's not that hard. And guess what? I oppose minimum wage hikes because they don't actually solve any problems. It's a short-term solution that just makes costs go up for everyone. Companies have to raise their prices on products to pay for these increased costs. Liberals have this bizarre idea that money grows on trees. It does not. The way to solve the minimum wage problem is to make these people more responsible, learn better job skills, and move up the ladder. But the left doesn't want to talk about that.
What about gun issues? I mean, sure, you may be an atheist who supports the Second Amendment, but to what extent? I mean, the GOP tends to be for almost no regulation at all. They want virtually no regulations on guns, and even if you support having guns and expanding the rights for people to own guns, surely you agree on some common sense regulation laws. So even from a practical standpoint, from a common sense standpoint, it really makes no sense to just kind of be another wing of the NRA.
Define common sense. The second anything happens with guns, the left is the first one up in arms calling for a complete and total ban on guns, and that just doesn't work. If that's what you want, hey, try passing a constitutional amendment. Go ahead. We'll wait. But if you can't get the popular support to do that, and we all know you can't, trying to do an end run around the Second Amendment, which, let's be honest, is really commonplace on the left, that isn't what anyone who respects the Constitution can ever do. Liberals are focused on the wrong thing. Crazies who go out and mow down the innocent need to be stopped. You want gun control. I want crazy control. But it's almost entirely the left who wants us to turn a blind eye to the people and focus on the tools. Guns don't kill people. Guns are incapable of picking a target and discharging themselves. Morons with mental illnesses, religious delusions, and poor decision-making skills kill people. They may use guns. They may use knives. They may use bombs. But it is the people that are the problem. And it is the people that the left don't want to pay attention to because it might offend someone. Well, here's my response to that. too fucking bad. I don't give a shit who gets offended. I want them stopped. I don't want to stop them from having the guns. I don't want to stop the innocent, the people who are not breaking the law, which is more than 99% of the gun-owning population that never break a law. It's the crazy people that you people don't want to acknowledge that are the problem. Deal with the problem.
All that said, we know there are atheists who claim to be Republicans and who are Republicans. I mean, Edwina Rogers, the former head of the Secular Coalition for America lobbying group, not only was she a Republican, she worked with a lot of conservative Christian Republicans before she took that SCA position. Dave Silverman, the head of American Atheists, even went to the CPAC, that convention where really the fringe right meets, because he said he wanted to try to reach out to conservative atheists. Now, they kicked him out. That's a separate issue. But he was trying to reach out to that demographic. Even commentators like S.E. Cupp, who's now on CNN, says she's an atheist despite being conservative. And, you know, the annoying part is that she calls herself an atheist, really, because she says she wishes she believed in God.
In fact, if the numbers I've seen are correct, about 20% of atheists are conservative. I have no idea if that translates into being a registered Republican or not, but it is a higher statistic than you might think. But why would you want to be a Republican? Well, the answer is clear. Because you want nothing whatsoever to do with being a Democrat. Because the Democrats suck even more than the Republicans do. Alright, let's be honest. There's a lot wrong with the Republicans. But most of the God-bothering nonsense that they spout, they have no way whatsoever to actually put into practice. Abortion is a decided issue. They can scream and cry about it all they want, but the chances that the Supreme Court would ever overturn R. V. Wade, that's somewhere between slim and none. Gay marriage is also a decided issue. There's no shot in hell of getting it revoked. They can rant and rave about it all they want. They can say they want God in the government, but we have a constitutionally mandated secular government, so they're not going to get that. All of the things where I disagree with them, they're just blowing smoke. They have zero chance of actually passing any of it into law. But on the Democrat side, their entitlement-happy government handout policies, the ones that are bankrupting this country, those are things that they can put into place and which are demonstrably damaging to the nation. Those are things that I am fighting against, and in fact, I think you'll find that most atheist Republicans are not fighting for the craziness on the far right, they're fighting against the craziness on the far left. We don't support the Republicans as much as we oppose the Democrats.
So maybe atheists can be Republicans, at least by name, but really, why would you want to be? In this political climate, with the Republicans in office that we have now, why would you want to vote any of these people in office? Even if you say you support them for some reason or another, by voting them into office, you're basically saying your atheist values or humanist values don't really matter.
What exactly are atheist values? Atheism is a lack of belief in gods. That's it. It has no values associated with it. And I'm not a humanist. I'm an egalitarian. I care about equality for all. I don't promote humanity just because they're human. In fact, if you are a rational person, if you are a scientifically based person, then the idea that humans are special just because they're human is a totally indefensible position to take. We're just animals. Oh, sure, we're smart animals, but we're not magically better just because we want to think that we are. So all these ideas, it's really kind of stupid.
You are hurting humanism and church-state separation and everything else that's good and unholy if you are voting Republicans into office in this political climate. And by the way, let me be clear. I'm not saying you should all vote for Democrats. Go ahead, vote for a third-party candidate if you think that'll help. But in nearly every instance in today's political climate, if you are voting for a Republican candidate, whoever it is, realize that you are voting for someone who is very likely anti-gay, anti-poor, anti-science, anti-women, and anti-you if you're an atheist. My name is Hemant Mehta, and I write at friendlyatheist.com. Please leave a comment below, and we will be sure to check them out.
Sure you are, because we all know that third-party candidates are pointless. The thing about third parties in these countries is they're all 99% identical to either the Republicans or the Democrats, with one or two elements blown completely out of proportion. No third-party candidate will ever win the presidency. It's just not going to happen. And you can argue ideologically all you want that if people don't vote for the third parties, that they're never going to grow in power, but that's really backwards. They will never grow in power because nobody's drawn to their platforms. They are appealing only to their own small band of fanatics. And since the mainstream has no need to vote for them, doing so is a waste of time and votes. So we come back to being either a Democrat or a Republican. I spend most of my time voting against the most evil party, and that, more often than not, is the Democrats. Like it or not, they are evil. Their platform runs almost entirely on emotion, and this is dangerous to America. The Republicans aren't much better, but like I said, at least the Republicans have no shot in hell of actually getting their crazy ideas passed into law. The Democrats are far more dangerous and need to be stopped. That's why I'm going to continue to be a Republican. It's the only rational choice. Thanks for listening. So, what do you think? Leave constructive comments below and be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you have anything that you want me to take on, send it my way, either in the comments or to my email address shown below. Also make sure you check out my blog where I talk about things like this all the time. I'll be back again next week, so be sure to stick around. Who knows? The left might actually learn something, but I wouldn't hold my breath.